Have you ever struggled to say what you mean, only to feel the words slip away like mist? Have you ever been sure of something, absolutely certain, until someone asks why? Suddenly you hesitate? We live in a world overflowing with opinions, emotions, and assumptions. But how do we know what's actually true? Aristotle faced that same world, noisier than it seemed. He offered a map. Not to find your way in the world, but to find your way through your own mind. This is the story of a man who didn't just ask questions, he shaped the very act of questioning. Before Aristotle gave philosophy its structure, Socrates gave it its soul. He walked the streets of Athens, not with lectures, but with questions. Not to win debates, but to break illusions. His method, now known as the elenchus, dismantled certainty with quiet precision. The unexamined life is not worth living, he said. But Socrates examined life without ever writing a word. It was Plato who captured his dialogues and turned them into a vision of another world. A world of forms, perfect, eternal, immaterial ideals behind everything we see. The form of beauty, of justice, of the good. But Plato's brightest student, Aristotle, disagreed. Why search for another world, he asked, when truth is already all around us? Leaves trembling in wind. A child's laughter. A flame flickering on stone. For Aristotle, truth didn't float above reality, it inhabited it. He was a philosopher with calloused hands, ready to grasp the world, not escape it. What if truth wasn't just discovered, but constructed, through the very form of thought itself? That's the question Aristotle answered when he created something no one had ever fully systematized before: logic. He noticed that human thinking often followed patterns. And if those patterns could be named, shaped, and tested, then reasoning itself could become a discipline. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Simple, but what is beneath it? Revelation. The first formal syllogism, a foundation, a method, a structure. Aristotle's logic wasn't about cleverness or argument. It was about validity, whether one thought necessarily followed from another. Not whether something felt right, but whether it had to be right based on what came before. This was more than philosophy. It was the beginning of rational architecture. The scaffolding that would support science, law, and even modern computation. Through logic, Aristotle gave humanity a way to see its own thoughts, not as clouds, but as blueprints. And that raised a terrifying new possibility. What if most of what we believe doesn't follow? Every day, we move through a world built on half-truths. We trust headlines, instincts, gut feelings. We mistake persuasion for proof, volume for authority. We confuse opinion with reason. Aristotle saw this. He lived in an age of rhetoric, where men won influence not through truth, but through style. But logic was immune to style. It didn't flatter, didn't seduce. It simply asked, does this follow? Yet logic, for all its power, was also fragile. Begin with a lie, and you can build a flawless chain of reasoning to disaster. Aristotle understood. Reason is only as good as its starting point. Garbage in, garbage out. This is where later thinkers pushed back. David Hume would argue that logic can't touch the world of experience, that facts and values are separate. Nietzsche went further, calling truth a mask, logic a cage, reason a weapon forged by the fearful to control the strong. Is logic the path to freedom, or a system of control? Aristotle's answer was more humble and more human. Logic is not a god, it is a guide. It's not a weapon, but a light. And in a world of shadows, even a flickering light matters. At the Lyceum, Aristotle's school in Athens, he didn't preach from on high. He walked, he asked, he listened. His teaching was not declaration, but movement. He dissected not just arguments, but animals, plants, plays, and politics. To Aristotle, everything, love, biology, justice, had a form that could be understood, and logic was the key to understanding it. He was Plato's heir, but not his echo. Where Plato sought perfection beyond the senses, Aristotle sought clarity within them. And when his pupil, Alexander the Great, conquered half the known world, Aristotle worried. What use is reason when power doesn't listen? Later, when Athens turned against Macedonian influence, Aristotle sensed danger. They had killed Socrates. They would not kill him. I will not allow Athens to sin twice against philosophy. And so he left, but what he left behind would echo across civilizations. For centuries, Aristotle's logical works, known as the Organon, lay forgotten in the ruins of a shifting empire. But philosophy has a way of resurrecting what matters. In the libraries of Baghdad, scholars of the Islamic Golden Age discovered Aristotle anew. Avicenna and Averroes expanded his logic, fusing it with medical science and metaphysics. Later, in medieval Europe, Thomas Aquinas made Aristotle the backbone of Christian philosophy. Faith and reason were now partners. Logic was the bridge. And when the Enlightenment dawned, Aristotle's fingerprints were everywhere. Today, we see his legacy in every algorithm, every program, every chain of code and decision-making system built on if this, then that. The syllogism lives in silicon. But here's the irony. The more powerful our logic becomes, the more fragile our understanding feels. We live in a data-rich, truth-poor age. We scroll, we skim, we shout, but do we think? Aristotle's gift wasn't just a tool, it was a discipline, a way of self-restraint and thought. To check ourselves, to slow down, to test the shape of our own beliefs. Yet logic alone is not wisdom. Logic can't tell you what to care about. It can only tell you whether your care is coherent. Without ethics, without virtue, logic becomes dangerous. A scalpel in the wrong hands, a system without a soul. Aristotle gave us a skeleton. We must give it breath. So let's return to our first questions. Why do our thoughts fall apart when we try to explain them? Why do we hesitate, even when we feel certain? Because thought without shape is like a river with no banks. It floods, drowns. Aristotle gave us those banks not to constrain thought, but to guide it, to protect it, to honor it. He taught us that truth is not just about what is said, but how it is said, how it flows, how it connects, how it follows. He didn't teach us what to think. He taught us how to think at all. And that is why even now, across centuries and continents, we still live in the echo of his mind, because the shape of thought is the shape of freedom. If this changed how you think, imagine what the next chapter might reveal. Join us in the next episode of Journey Through Philosophy as we continue to walk the path from questions to truth. Until then, stay curious, stay careful, and keep thinking clearly.